There's a new governor at the RBI. The Indian rupee's been depreciating. The last governor's thinking seems to have been to hold off on the depreciation. The new governor seems to have a slightly different thinking. What do you see as being the medium-term outlook for the rupee? To what extent should the rupee be allowed to depreciate, especially given the potential for a political backlash against the central government?
So, I think we have to be a lot more mature about the rupee-dollar exchange rate than the public dialogue sometimes seems to be. First, if the dollar is appreciating vis-a-vis the euro, to hold it from appreciating vis-a-vis the rupee means that then we become uncompetitive in our exports to the euro or to anywhere else which is depreciating. So what you need to look at is across the basket of currencies how we're doing. And my sense is pretty much every country has depreciated against the dollar. We haven't appreciated or depreciated against other currencies, but we have against the dollar. Now, since everybody's looking at the dollar, we look like we're doing badly. But if you look at the euro, it's closing on parity with respect to the dollar, which means quite a bit of decline over the last year. I won't worry too much. The exchange rate is a means for the economy to adjust to, things like tariffs, things like the fact that capital is flowing into the US. So don't overreact to the rupee dollar.
So what would be a natural exchange rate for the Indian rupee versus the dollar at this moment from your
I don't want to put a number out there and say, no, I don't want to put a number and say, if we're not there. I think the RBI does these calculations, but others can also do it. What is the real effective exchange rate that we feel comfortable with? Which means taking into account in both the depreciation, but also the inflation rate in the US, in India versus the rest of the world. I don't think we should hold the rupee at a level which is unsustainable. That just means wasting our foreign exchange reserves, and we will need it at some point if things become more difficult in the global economy. So I would say, do what the RBI has always been doing, which is focus on reducing volatility, but don't try and determine what the level is. Let it move towards whatever level it has to move to keep the economy in balance.
But I must press you because you're dodging my question.
I am, because I don't know the answer to that.
No, but if you don't know the answer, who knows the answer? If it is to be meaningful, there's been some commentary about letting the rupee slide to 100 rupees to a dollar, that being a more natural exchange rate at this moment, given what's happening globally.
I would not think that, from what I know, I don't think 100 is the right place. I don't know exactly what is. What I would look at is, which I haven't done, look at the weighted exchange rate against other currencies as well as our inflation, and make sure the real effective exchange rate hasn't crept up. That would make us uncompetitive. It coming down too much would make it more competitive, but would create the potential for some kind of volatility down the line. So I would say reasonable balance is to keep it fairly reasonable until tariffs hit. When tariffs start being imposed, if they're imposed against India, one of the answers is to let the rupee depreciate some.
The other question is about interest rates and the RBI's position on whether there should be a reduction or should it be held off. How would you view this question?
So I have never commented on RBI's monetary policy. I just commented, peripherally on exchange rates. Look, I think the RBI has a inflation targeting regime. It has to feel comfortable that inflation is coming down, and then it can cut rates. I think the economy, right? The problem to some extent is not supply. We seem to have reasonable supply. You can see that in the core inflation numbers. They have been, going at very moderate rates. The issue seems to be more demand. Now, of course, inflation has been high because of food, especially vegetables. I understand that's coming down. That may give the RBI more room. But clearly what it has to do is, keeping in mind the state of the economy, adjust monetary policy rates accordingly.